This podcast is a production of WCWP, LIU Post Public Radio. Check out our lineup of original programs, listen live, or support by visiting WCWP.org.
Hello and welcome to WCWP LIU Post Radio. This is 89.7 FM and you're listening to The Poets Corner. I'm your host Rich. Here with me is my co-host
Julian Wilson.
And we have a great show for you today, guys.
Yes, we do.
All right. Now we have two topics. Our first is how people perceive poets.
Yes.
And poetic imagery.
Yes.
So let's start with the first topic. Julian, what do you think of when you hear the word poet?
When I hear the word poet, I think of a landscape and somebody has the paintbrush and they're just painting words on a canvas. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. They're painting their personal picture of the world. How about you?
Well, when I hear the word poet, I think of all the poets I know, like Jive Poetic or Andrea Gibson.
Ooh,
people that have made an impact on me. People that I've seen at the Nuyorican Poets Cafe.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, which is a place we should go there at some point, man. I really got to show you.
Absolutely, that'd be awesome, man.
It is like one of the most known centers for poetry in the world, pretty much. I think it's in like the top 5 places.
Top 5, really?
For a spoken word. I know definitely in America.
Right.
But in the world, I'm not sure. Definitely in New York, it is.
Oh, yes.
I'm telling you, definitely in New York. It is in Manhattan. It's in the city. I believe on Wednesday nights, it's open mic night.
Awesome.
You go in after like 8 or 9 p.m. You pay, I believe it's $10 entrance.
Wow, that's it?
Yeah.
We should go.
I know. We need to arrange a trip one of these days.
Absolutely.
But, Julian, the question I asked you, I was thinking more along the lines of an actual person. Like when someone tells you, do you know any poets? Like,
right.
What comes to your mind?
What comes to mind, the first person I think of is Langston Hughes.
Really? Okay, go on.
His poems are very creative. I forgot which one came to mind, but there was a couple of words in one of them. They just spoke to me, And he's definitely one of my favorite poets.
Nice.
Thanks.
I have also read some great work by Langston Hughes. Unfortunately, I did not bring any with me today, but you can count on it next show.
Awesome.
You can count on it next show.
Awesome.
All right. Now, what do you think most people think of when they hear the word poet?
I feel like, that's a good question, Rich. That's a really good question. I think when people hear the word poet or the term poet, I feel like that's a really hard question, actually.
Well, the reason I'm asking is I feel like the view of what a poet is has been somewhat skewed by education.
I feel exactly the same way.
And I'll elaborate.
Right.
Because in high school, for example, or even earlier, like in middle school, the first poets we are exposed to could be people like Shakespeare, for example.
Right.
And Maya Angelou. Not that that's bad.
Right.
It's not bad at all. But it's like it forms a tendency to think that poets are older people reading generally boring poetry.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think that.
Right. No, I don't think those boring at all. But
yeah. But I've met a lot of people who they hear those names and they become disinterested.
Yeah, I feel like it turns some people off in that regard. And it's honestly a shame because poetry, it's awesome, Poetry is a way of expressing oneself, and I feel like earlier on it takes a craft when people hear the names of Shakespeare and more relatable names like that. I feel like they associate that with boring things, and that's not what poetry is.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
those forms of early poetry, they had a different feel to them. But these days, contemporary poetry is a whole different ball game.
Absolutely.
It's a whole different thing.
Absolutely.
Now, I have another question for you.
Yes.
Did this show in any way change how you view poets?
Not really.
No?
No, well, kind of, in like in a positive way, in a more expansive light. I would say. This show is it kind of led me to expand more on the world of poetry and to just explore, and
Really?
that's something that I wasn't finding myself doing much before, actually.
I see. Would you consider yourself a poet?
Yes and no. Yes, because when I write poetry, I clear my mind and I don't think about anything else going on in my life. I completely blank out everything and I just sit and I write whatever comes to mind and I just let it flow. And if it takes me an hour, if it takes me 5 minutes, I do not get rid of it. I don't make any changes. And what it is what it is. And I feel like a lot of poets do that as well. But I would say no, because it's not something that I've been consistently doing. It's not my first form of expression, but it still is a way that I express myself. So I would say it is still a very important part of my life.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask the same question to myself. Would I consider myself a poet? Yeah, I probably would. By now, I mean, I've been writing for only 2 years.
Right.
I'd say like around 2.5.
Right.
But I'd say that in order to consider yourself a poet, it's not like there's some sort of list of qualifications. You know
Right.
what I mean? It's like
Right.
if you are one of the people that partake in this art form, you should be able to call yourself a poet.
Huh.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. As long as
Yes.
you write poems, you have that passion for it.
Right.
I think that should be enough.
You know what? I think you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Because people who take the time out to express themselves like that, it must mean a lot to them, right?
Yes.
So I think that's a very important thing that you just said. I agree. I agree.
Now, this view of poetry that so many people have nowadays, I wonder, how can we change that? I mean, not us ourselves. I
Right.
mean,
Can you imagine?
I can't enact so much change. I mean, I'm just a sophomore in college.
Yep. Sophomores, man.
But maybe through more social media, perhaps.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Because social media is everywhere.
Everywhere.
You can't escape.
Pinterest, you have Instagram, you have all these sites, man. All these vehicles.
Yeah. Vehicles of the media.
Vehicles of the media. And that, it could certainly help poetry out, I believe, you know?
Yeah.
There should definitely be more poetry clubs, more things along that line, just to make it more of a I mean, not a broader way of expression, but I just think it needs more exposure.
Indeed. I think that maybe if we put some more modern poets out there, like some people, as I've said before, Jive Poetic,
Right,
is an example. Like, for example, if the social media could somehow present more of these contemporary poets,
I feel like it would be great if that happened.
it would be like
I feel like it should have happened already, but there's always room for improvement, and that would be a great first step.
It would be. There's this old saying that an audience of 3 is enough for a poet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I never heard that one before.
And it's
Can you elaborate on that?
Okay. Well, I know for sure that the quote is somewhere along those lines. And what it means is that because poetry can be sometimes a rather obscure art form, it's not always easy to find an audience for it. You know what I mean?
Right.
As opposed to a garage band these days.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Is there any way for poets to just, receive more exposure than just going to like open mic nights? Do you think? Like, because I feel like that's the main vehicle for poets nowadays is to go to open mic nights because, usually they're small areas. Usually they have audiences. Is there any other way you think that they could receive more exposure?
Well, a great idea actually just popped into my head.
Awesome.
Maybe if more poets were exposed on talk shows, for example.
Oh, yes.
That would be.
Yes.
Imagine if
That's actually a brilliant idea. I'm not gonna lie.
is.
Because that never once crossed my mind. Talk shows and poets. That's a great combination.
Because think about it, like many popular bands and artists will randomly appear on talk shows,
Yeah.
and that's sort of like a symbol of like they're coming up in the world.
Exactly.
Exactly. They've come to the point where they can be recognized.
Exactly.
By I don't even know how many people watch the Jimmy Kimmel Show nowadays.
Right.
It's probably in the millions, maybe even the billions. I don't know. I don't know.
Right.
That's one outlet for them,
That's definitely a great way for poets to get out there because then that would be symbolism of them moving up in the world and then they'll be more recognizable and it won't always be about Shakespeare, and et cetera.
Et cetera. Indeed. Maybe I can pioneer this movement. I can try. Maybe I should email. Maybe I should email Jimmy Kimmel and tell him, you know what, Jive Poetic should show up on your show.
I feel like he would say yes too. Because I feel like he knows the name somewhere in his mind.
He'd better.
Oh man.
Yeah, but that is one method that I'm sure would work.
All right.
Other than that,
definitely a great method.
Perhaps through YouTube. Well, YouTube already has a bunch of poets on it. Actually.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know. I feel like poetry just isn't as recognized these days.
Yeah. I feel like people, which is also a little bit because people I feel like they look for inspiration, but to me, poetry is one of the greatest sources of inspiration. I feel like people are not noticing it as much as they should because I feel like poetry can make lives better,
I agree.
But maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me being biased, but I'm not trying to be. I'm just saying, like, it's great. It's great.
No, it's true. It's true. because I'm yearning for the day where I can walk up to a random person,
right,
on a college campus maybe, and say, "Hey, have you listened to any poetry lately? Do you know a poet that you may like?"
That'd be an awesome conversation too,
It would be. And I'm not expecting the person to be like, "Oh, well, actually, no, you see, these are my top 10 and these are like," I'm not expecting people to become experts. I just want it to be like a common thing. Like, for example, if you walk up to a random person and say, "What's a band you've listened to recently?"
Right.
Everybody will have an answer.
Everybody, yes.
You know what I mean? Everybody will.
Yes.
But then again, and maybe this is me being pessimistic. Maybe poetry will forever be that slightly obscure art form.
Right.
I mean, I would hope not.
Right.
Because it deserves more recognition than it's receiving.
Absolutely.
But I don't know, man. I just don't know.
And you see, like, sometimes I would see these videos on YouTube where, like, somebody, like, would put up a song, right? And then you see, like, in parentheses, it says lyrics. And then people on the comments would be like, "Oh, my gosh, I love this song. The lyrics, they mean so much to me." I'm like, yes, but, I mean, songwriting is not the only form of, word expression. There's poetry, which was there way before that, And to me, it offers the same amount of, like, just, it needs to be appreciated more, But I know you can't force anybody, but it's great. Like, lyrics and poetry is like, they go hand in hand,
No, I know exactly what you're saying. Because those people that enjoy the impact of lyrics from songs,
Yeah.
I feel like if I could recommend, or if anyone
Right.
could just recommend a poem to them,
Right.
they might love it.
No, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying, you know?
Right? I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I know. I know. But moving on. There is something else I'd like to discuss, which is of course related.
Yes.
Poetic imagery.
Yeah, ooh, poetic imagery.
Yep. Which is one of the strong points of poetry, which is one of the most recognizable characteristics of it, I'd say.
Yes, I agree.
It's one of the things that are in most poems.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that people think about, like, you know, people trying to paint an image with words.
Exactly what I was referring to in the first question I believe you asked me.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
hearing lines like seeing the sun rise between your eyes or something.
Yeah.
Something like that. You know
Seeing the
what I mean?
sun rise between your eyes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Which also brings me to the first poem of the show.
Awesome.
Yes. This is a poem by Allen Ginsberg. He is a recognized figure of the beatnik movement.
Ah, I see.
Indeed. This is called Sunflower Sutra.
Oh, it's going to be an awesome ride right there.
You have no idea. You have no idea. All right. And pay attention to this because it paints a very vivid picture. That's why I chose it.
Right.
Constant imagery here.
Oh, I love it.
I'll show you. I walked on the banks of the Tinkin Banana Dock and sat down under the huge shade of a Southern Pacific locomotive to look at the sunset over the box house hills and cry. Jack Kerouac sat beside me on a busted rusty iron pole. Companion, we thought the same thoughts of the soul, bleak and blue and sad-eyed, surrounded by the gnarled steel roots of trees and machinery. The oily water on the river mirrored the red sky. Sun sank on top of final Frisco peaks. No fish in that stream, no hermit in those mouths. Just ourselves, roomy-eyed and hungover like old bums on the riverbank, tired and wily. Look at the sunflower, he said. There was a dead gray shadow against the sky, big as a man, sitting dry on top of a pile of ancient sawdust. I rushed up enchanted. It was my first sunflower. Memories of Blake, my visions, Harlem and hells of the eastern rivers, bridges, clanking Joe's greasy sandwiches, dead baby carriages, black, treadless tires forgotten and unretreaded. The poem of the riverbank. Condoms and pots, steel knives, nothing stainless, only the dank muck and the razor-sharp artifacts passing into the past. And the gray sunflower poised against the sunset. Crackly, bleak, and dusty with the smut and smog and smoke of olden locomotives in its eye. Corolla of bleary spikes pushed down and broken like a battered crown, seeds fallen out of its face, soon to be toothless mouth of a sunny air, sun rays obliterated on its hairy head like a dried wire spiderweb. Leaves stuck out like arms of the stem, gestures from the sawdust root, broke pieces of plaster fallen out of black twigs, a dead fly in its ear. Unholy battered old thing you were, my sunflower, oh my soul, I loved you then. The grime was no man's grime, but death and human locomotives. All that dress of dust, that veil of darkened railroad skin, that smog of cheek, that eyelid of black misery, that sooty hand and phallus or protuberance of an artificial, worse than dirt industrial, modern, and all that civilization, spotting your crazy golden crown, and those blear thoughts of death and dusty, loveless eyes, and it ends with withered roots below. In the home pile of sand and sawdust, rubber dollar bills, skin of machinery, the guts and innards of the weeping, coughing car, the empty, lonely tin cans with their rusty tongues alack. What more could I name? The smoked ashes of some cigar, the wheelbarrows and the milky breasts of cars, the worn-out chairs and sphincters of dynamos, all these entangled in your mummied roots, and you there standing before me in the sunset, all your glory in your form. a perfect beauty of a sunflower, a perfect, excellent, lovely sunflower existence, a sweet natural eye to the new hip moon woke alive and excited, the grasping in the sunset shadow, sunrise golden monthly breeze. How many flies buzzed around you, innocent of your grime, while you crushed the heavens of the railroad and your flower soul. Poor dead flower? When did you forget you were a flower? When did you look at your skin and decide you were an impotent, dirty old locomotive, the ghost of a locomotive, the specter and shade of a once powerful, mad American locomotive? You were never no locomotive, sunflower. You were a sunflower. And you, locomotive, you are a locomotive, forget me not. So I grabbed up the skeleton thick sunflower and stuck it at my side like a scepter, and deliver my sermon to my soul, and Jack's soul too, and to anyone who'll listen. We're not our skin of grime. We're not our dread, bleak, dusty, imageless locomotive. We're all beautiful golden sunflowers inside. We're blessed by our own seed and golden, hairy, naked accomplishment bodies growing into mad, black, formal sunflowers in the sunset. Spied on by our eyes under the shadow of the mad locomotive riverbank sunset. Frisco, hilly, tin can, evening, sit-down vision. Wow. That was a long piece.
Oh my gosh.
That was a long piece.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So expressive, so beautiful.
I know.
So poetic.
Allen Ginsberg
my goodness.
is great. Allen Ginsberg is
that
great.
was fantastic. Oh my. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
The amount of expression, really? Like, that's so cool.
I'm going to lend you this book. This is actually a collection of his poems. It's called Howl and Other Poems by Allen Ginsberg.
Yo, that's awesome, man.
Howl is an epic poem that he did. It's one of the most famous poems ever known. It's like,
oh my goodness,
7 pages of just.
Oh my goodness.
It's a ridiculously long poem. I am telling you.
Wow. That was amazing.
Yeah.
The amount of expression it's unbelievable. It really is.
And the imagery?
The imagery.
Don't even get me started on the imagery.
Oh my gosh. He uses the perfect and right amount of descriptive words and adjectives and all these things. I'm like,
I can tell you're blown away right now.
To be on that level is ridiculous. Like,
I know.
In the greatest way possible.
I know.
Oh my goodness. That was great.
I know. But we will continue discussing this poem. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back, guys. All right. So I just finished reading a very long poem.
Very descriptive, though.
Yep. A poem by Allen Ginsberg called Sunflower Sutra.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing, to say the least.
It was beautiful, man.
It was.
I was speechless.
Is there one line that you can specifically remember, Julian?
The one line that I remember is black eyelash, the eyelashes of black misery.
Wow.
Very, very awesome.
That impacted you.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's what I remember right now.
Yeah, but
when I heard it, I was like, what?
Yeah, but my point is imagery like that. Like, you cannot hear a line like that and not form some sort of image in your head.
Right.
You always do, because you definitely imagined it, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. And it's descriptive stuff like that, like, it's awesome. Like, and like, nowadays I feel like people need to see pictures, but not see it, but like read pictures almost. And poetry is the best at doing that type of thing.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of, did you bring any poems with you?
I did, actually.
All right. What's the title?
It's called Press Release for Life.
Whoa.
And and it's mostly about I kind of wanted to write a poem from a point of view of somebody who has already lived life. Even though I'm young, I wanted to see if I could portray that. And that's why it's called Press Release for Life, because press releases are mostly like what you should expect. So without further ado, I'm going to read it.
Nice. Go ahead, man.
Thank you. Welcome to life. Its beauty will bring you joy. Its ugliness will bring you strife. The good and the bad, the memories that you will have, won't cease when you're standing. And when you feel you're on top of the world, at times you will have crash landings. That does not mean it's the end of your life, or the path you will walk. It may just be the beginning, even if you start out in the dark. So please, anticipate everything. It's important not to let your guard down, because if you let it slip for just a second, your world can turn all around. But if you persevere, you will win the fight, because life will require tunnel vision for you to see the light in sight. The end.
That one line.
Thank you.
That life will require you to have tunnel vision so you can see the light. Wow, dude.
Thank you.
Nice. I'm gonna snap again for that line.
Thank you,
That was
man.
great.
Thank
Because
you so
there's
much.
oh my goodness, you know what I immediately thought of about how people say, like there's that light at the end of the tunnel.
Right, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking of too. Because it's true.
It's true.
When people are going through struggles and they think that there's no hope left, there is,
And there's always hope.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Yeah. And once again, I do like your title.
Thank you so much.
Press
man.
relief for life. It sounds like the kind of thing that should be like broadcasted nationally. And now we bring you the press release for life.
I know, right? Sounds like an organization.
It does almost.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, man. That means a lot. Thank you.
No
I think that's
problem.
my favorite poem that I've written, to be honest.
Oh well. Well, I hope there's many more to come.
Oh,
also.
yes. Absolutely. Thank you.
What in particular inspired you to write this piece?
I think that goes to this statement that like family members and friends, sometimes they tell me that I have an old soul. And earlier I was thinking about it and I was just like, well, what makes them think that about me? And like how are my mannerisms, the way I think, my thoughts, the way I interact with people, how does that correlate with when they say that I have an old soul and that I've had past lives, or like that's what they think, because the way I guess my personality reflects that. And when I was thinking of a poem, that idea just randomly came to me, but it came to me really fast, and I thought, why don't I write a poem from the point of view of somebody that has lived their lives and that, kind of wants to offer advice of some sort to people who have yet to go through life. And I thought that would be a really cool idea. So press release for life was the first thing I thought of. And I went with it. And I actually thought it was going to be a short poem, but it went longer than I wanted to, and it was for the better.
Nice.
Thank you.
I see.
Yes.
You do have a certain degree of wisdom.
Really? You think so?
Yeah, I mean, like I can tell from the piece.
Thanks, man. What do you mean though?
Okay, well, because that piece in itself is essentially advice to people who are living through life.
Right.
And I'd say it was good advice.
So thank you.
I'd say that, whatever you've been through in the past,
Right.
and whatever it's made you now, you've acquired a certain degree of wisdom because I can see it through the poem.
Right.
And that just goes to show, once again, how you can see things about a person's personality
Yes.
through what they write.
Yes, I agree.
And,
I agree.
And also, people tend to call you an old soul, huh?
Yeah, sometimes.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just it's mostly random when it happens too. I didn't, not to say I understood it honestly, because I'm just a kid, but I wanted to reflect that in a piece, and this is what I came up with.
I see.
Yes.
Well, you aren't the only one who brought a piece.
Oh,
Of course. Of course.
Rich, yes. I can't wait.
Now, this is somewhat of a sad poem.
Aww.
somewhat.
I don't want to get sad.
You don't want to get sad? Okay. Actually, in that case, I have an even more positive one. I'll save that for another show, actually.
No, you don't read it. No, now you have
show.
to read it.
No, because I was debating between
Right.
two of these pieces, and I actually do want to read this other one more. This was in my notebook.
Okay.
As the other one was on the notepad of my phone.
Ah, okay.
All right, so
Gotcha.
this is untitled. I have yet to find a title for it, but it was just sort of like a stream of consciousness kind of thing.
Right.
Like I just tried to flow.
Right.
All right. Rivers flow between my eyelids. My mind stays afloat, never drifting, never sinking. I sometimes want wings to flap when I stretch my spine. Freedom would only be a reflex away, and peace would be the cloud I fly through, finding a future I never knew. Let this smile ripple, extend into hours, months, days, years. Throw away my sadness in an Iron Maiden. Sinking miles beneath Mount Fiji, I am who I will be. Not what foggy lenses choose to reveal to me. I want to drink the glass half full, a concoction of optimism and the truth serum about my identity.
Rich. Always coming through with the feels. Oh my goodness.
I can't help it.
Serum of my identity. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. See, that's what I like. I love that. I love that descriptiveness. I love it.
I try my best.
What inspired you to write that?
Well, recently I feel like I wanted a poem that had some more abstract imagery. Like I kind of just wanted to be in that realm of my imagination completely.
Right.
Because recently I've been writing poems that have to do with a specific subject.
Right.
They have to relate to a topic.
Yeah.
And thus I come up with things that relate to that. But it's like I just wanted to completely just zone out.
Just zone out.
Into just fantasy.
I see.
And that's why it was all the imagery of the wings flying through clouds of peace.
I loved when you said that freedom would only be a reflex away. I loved that. I love that line.
Thanks.
Really, really, really impressive. I loved that line.
Thank you.
Oh man,
this is the kind of imagery thing I'm talking about, and it is very effective.
Yeah,
it's very effective. It leaves,
and I feel like people they want to do what you were saying, like they want to spread their wings and fly. They want to have wings to fly in the first place, because it would be awesome. They want to feel free. They want to they want to fly through the sky. They want to just feel the essence of true freedom.
Exactly.
And that means a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the reasons I think this is effective also is because it sort of leaves an imprint in your mind. Like whenever you hear it.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like just like it's sort of similar to how you will hear a song lyric.
Right. Exactly.
And like later in the day, maybe even the next day, it'll just pop into your head.
Exactly. Yes. That's the magic right there.
That is the magic. Indeed.
That's the magic of words and lyrics. That's what they do.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's why they're so powerful.
This is probably one of the most, as I've said before, one of the most known characteristics of poetry.
Right.
But it's not the only one that should be recognized. Because remember, poems, just like yours, for example, poems can sort of tell a story. They can sort of give advice.
Right.
They can speak to you, not just show you,
Yeah.
pretty images and things like that.
Yeah.
But actually tell you something.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why I love poetry so much.
I love poetry, man. I really, oh my gosh. You're absolutely right, though. You're absolutely right. And that was exactly what I was trying to convey with my poem, is to offer advice that didn't, that everybody could follow, And I felt like that last line was very important because it's true for a lot of people.
I see. No, it is. advice is the kind of thing that, branches through all cultural barriers.
Oh, yes.
Everybody wants advice.
Everybody.
Which actually gave me a great idea just now.
Mm-hmm.
What if I tried to put some of my poetry in a different language?
Oh, yo, we're talking that fire right now. I would like that. That would be cool. What do you think about that?
That sounds very difficult, actually.
It does, but it would be really cool, wouldn't it?
I mean, I can
imagine that as a goal, just to transcend that.
I could try to write a poem in French. It would be difficult. It would take me a while.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
It's not going to be easy, but it would be really cool, And it would just be another way to connect to people as well.
A friend of mine, Garrett, who was my previous co-host,
right?
He gave me an idea. He told me, since I can actually speak another language, maybe I should have like certain specific lines of a poem.
Yes.
In that other language.
Oh, I like that too. That's a great idea.
And I'm wondering, because that could have really great impact if you was.
Yeah. Absolutely. But that could be very influential.
But still, just like I said before, it sounds difficult.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, but then again, that comes with it, Mm-hmm. And I feel like, but the payoff would be great.
Yeah,
be great.
It would be. Mm-hmm. Which reminds me, do you speak any other languages, Julian?
No, not fluently. I took Spanish and I took French, and I actually I was learning Japanese for 2 months.
Whoa, really?
But yeah, but I can't say I remember much because it was a couple of years ago.
Oh.
Yeah, and then I was occupied with other stuff. What about you?
I speak Haitian Creole.
Nice.
And French, they're pretty much in the same boat. Like
right.
Haitian Creole is a derivative of French, kind of.
Yes.
Like it's almost like it's the language of the people from Haiti.
Yeah.
So, and what it is, it's from what I've heard, it is a mix between African and French.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a great combination, I gotta say.
Yeah, it does.
And you know what it is, man? It's a beautiful language. Every language is beautiful.
Right.
Honestly, every language has its ways.
I agree.
To be beautiful. I want to learn Japanese at some point.
Yeah. I was actually like speaking in sentences. It was pretty cool. But I mean, I wish I could have been as intent on learning, but like I said, things got in the way and it got more difficult to pursue that.
Uh-huh. Can you remember any lines to perhaps show our listeners?
I wish I could say yes, but not this time. No. I might have to wait like your other poem.
Okay. Maybe I'll get to the point where you can translate your entire poem.
Oh my god.
Into Japanese.
All right. International press release. International press release for life. That'll be the new title.
Now that is a goal to strive for.
That would be awesome. Awesome endeavors. I would love to do that.
Actually, I'm pretty sure LIU has a course on Japanese.
I think they do. I was gonna take it as well. I still might take it.
Maybe you can take it as an elective.
Yeah, and then maybe I could get the job done faster than I thought. Exactly. Faster than expected.
Who knows? Maybe by next year.
Oh yes.
Maybe.
Who knows? Who knows what the future will hold?
Who knows? But until then, oh wait, look at the time. Oh man. Unfortunately.
Alrighty, man.
I know. We are nearing the end of the show. It's not over yet. We are nearing the end of the show. We should start going into our closing comments.
Yes.
Julian, you have anything you want to say to the listeners?
Thanks guys for listening to another episode of the Ports Corner. I'm Julian Wilson with your host,
Rich Renalik.
And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much.
Indeed we will. Now for the music.
Like what you hear? Here's how you can let us know. Give us a call at 516-299-2626 or email us at info@wcwp.org. Like us at facebook.com/mywcwp and leave a comment or tweet us at mywcwp. We welcome all kinds of feedback. To directly support the podcast you just enjoyed, leave a review on Apple Podcasts. And if you'd like to give back, visit wcwp.org and click the support tab. Thanks for listening from your friends at WCWP.